Today, we're going to be talking about the 5 habits that made me healthier and wealthier. I know, I'm getting a little desperate for titles over here, but the last one is the most important, so stay tuned. But starting with number 1, I consistently do things that I do not want to do. Now, some of you guys are just bosses, and can't nobody tell you nothing.
You can't tell me nothing.
And you live on your own terms, and I appreciate that. But for me, what I found from my experience is that running towards the things you don't want to do, whether that be because they're hard or they're not glamorized on social media or whatever the case might be, it actually builds a skill set and you start to find enjoyment, oddly enough, from doing these things, because what I have learned is competence builds your confidence. So as you get more skills, as you gain more knowledge, those things that appear to be not as satisfying actually give you a great deal of gratification. One of the things I always say is liking something is not a prerequisite to doing something. So whether you're in the gym or at your job, I would highly encourage you to just make a list of the 3 to 5 things you're avoiding, figure out why you're avoiding them, and do it anyway. And I know I have a lot of salespeople that watch these videos, so let me give you a personal example. When I moved into sales, I came from the accounting department. I am an introvert through and through. So how much do you think I like to cold call random strangers on the phone? It's the worst. To this day, I despise it, but I understand what's on the other side of the discomfort. So you that's not picking up the phone, get on it. Number 2, this one is extremely important, but also very challenging in today's day of social media. But I do not try to keep up with the Joneses. I have learned to be almost unfazed by what anyone else is doing, and especially online, because it can be the never-ending one-up show, right? If XYZ person gets a new car, then you need a new car, or if your friend gets something cool, then you think you need this. Absolutely not, because 1, there will always be something bigger, better, shinier, and you will never win that race. But also for me, I base my decisions off what's best for me and my family, and that's it. So the rule in our household is if we're looking at potentially buying or doing something, we are not allowed to use because someone else did it as a justification, because it doesn't matter, right? Everyone's circumstances are different. Now, of course, right, everyone is gonna be influenced by certain people and we're not immune to that, but we really try to minimize it as much as possible. And I would actually argue if there's a lot of people doing something, that's actually a reason to not do it in most cases. The one area that doesn't apply to is going to the gym, because you should always be trying to go to the gym more than the next person, even if you don't think you have the time, because I would argue, wait a second, but really, you have no excuse not to have the time when you could get one of these amazing original grain watches. And what I love about them is they're very unique. They used reclaimed materials in all of their watches, whether that be whiskey barrels, old ammo, coffee beans. So no matter who you're buying for, your brother, yourself, your uncle, your friends, there is something for everyone. So if you got a coffee lover out there, if you've got a whiskey connoisseur, you can get a product just for that. So I picked up the Whiskey Black Rugged Automatic. What I love about this watch in particular is the skeleton dial where you can see all the functions in it, and they actually used old smoked whiskey barrels on the band. And the other cool thing about original grain watches is they collaborate with a lot of the brands that you know and love, like Jack Daniels using some of their whiskey barrels, Bob Marley, Taylor Guitars, and a lot of industry leaders. Now here's the best part. You can save $100 at Original Grain going to www.originalgrain.com/Travis, and you will get $100 off for their Black Friday sale, but you will also save an additional 10% using code Travis. This is the biggest sale that you'll find, and you can get an incredible looking watch for a very reasonable price. So number 3 is making decisions for tomorrow, not today. I saw a quote once that said, "You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." And it's very mind-blowing to me how few people ever put systems or plans into place. And I think a lot of times the excuse is, well, I don't have time.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I just have to focus on today, and we'll worry about the rest later. But the catch-22 is the reason you don't have time is because you aren't thinking ahead enough. And I'd be willing to bet if you ask 100 people that don't have a healthy diet today, the reason that they don't eat better, they will give you time as an excuse. Well, of course, if you're waiting till lunchtime in between meetings to find that food that's good for you, you're probably going to default to foods that are not ideal for your body. But if you take 20 minutes on the weekend, make up foods, you're probably gonna be in a much better spot. And for me, this is very natural and organic, so I can't tell you if being forward thinking is a skill or just something you acquire over time or what. But I think if you just make a conscious effort to say, what can I do today that would make tomorrow a little bit easier, that's a good start. And then you can start expanding it out. What can I do today to better achieve my goal a month from now, a year from now? And you'll notice that the people that do really well, say the rock star in your office that has gotten all these promotions and they have all these accolades, it's usually that person that is never making the short-sighted decision. The next habit that I have that I think is transformational is that I protect my peace at all costs. This was actually a New Year's resolution of mine 2 years ago. It was so great I made it my New Year's resolution again this year, and I will probably make it my New Year's resolution for the rest of my life because I was caught in that spiral of listening to the wrong people, and there is not a price you can put on your peace, especially for your mental health and also just your overall view of the world, because that translates into every single thing that you do. So that is why I don't watch the news, I don't use Twitter or X or whatever it's called. I mute or unfollow anyone who is a consistent fearmonger, and I would actually argue those are not very happy people and not usually people you would look up to. And my friends know, do not send me these scary articles or all of this propaganda that's out there in the world. I get it. The world is evil. There's a lot of bad things, but I need to protect my peace. And that is a very personal decision. And the people around me respect that. And if someone crosses that line and I feel like my peace is being violated, I let them know, hey, I don't care, I don't want to know, and if they continue to push it, then I don't really need that person in my space. And by prioritizing my mental health, what I'm able to do is invest my energy into the things that matter the most to me. Being a dad, being a husband, being a good employee, providing for those around me, and it's worked out tremendously. All right, does anybody know I have a fake Rolex? Let's see if I can do a little thumbnail here for some clickbait. Let's move into number 5, and like I said earlier, this is, in my opinion, by far the most important, and that is I consistently find happiness in nothing. And here's what I mean by that. I love monotony. I love the little things. I have been on a journey over the last decade of my life to just be content with what is in front of me. So let me just unpack that a little bit and kind of, some of you guys know, but when I was 22, my mom passed away, and I spent the last days with her. I spent the last months and years with her as her caregiver. And that was life-altering for me, because when you see someone lose their health, they ultimately lose everything. So when she passed, and she was my everything, my best friend, she was all I ever knew, there was a turning point in my life where I knew it could either ruin me or I could use that as a reason to keep going and make her proud. And I always try to find the bright side in everything. So what that experience taught me is I don't need new things to be happy. I don't need these crazy adventures and experiences. So I'm at the point in my life where I am happy every day. I'm legitimately thankful when I see Alfie run down the stairs because I don't know how many days I have with him. Maybe I have 10 more years, maybe I have 10 more days, I don't know. But every day I see him run down the stairs, wagging his tail, greeting me. It's amazing. And the best part of every day is when I go to Griffin's crib and I look at him and he's healthy and he smiles. And that's really all that I need. And we have breakfast as a family. I have a wonderful marriage and all these things that I think that most of us just take for granted. I find genuine joy in. So I don't need a big vacation. I don't need to go and do all of these things. I think almost sometimes to my detriment because I'm so thankful. And I think just grasping that for me was potentially the best thing that's ever happened. And the flip side to that, I would say, is I expect nothing from anyone. So I don't think I'm entitled to anything, and I can't really be let down because my expectations of anyone around me is that you owe me nothing. Whether I've worked for you for 10 years, whether we've been friends for 2 decades, I just don't think I'm owed anything, and I think I've been given everything that I ever would need. So that's how we're gonna end the video. Wow, are we just getting a little too deep on these videos? You guys, let me know. Let me know in the comments. We'll try to stick to more lighthearted materials with fitness and nutrition and things like that. But sometimes, just gotta share some thoughts. Maybe I should just do a whole segment, Travis Talks. You guys let me know. I appreciate you being here. Look forward to talking to y'all next week.